If you are caught essentially manipulating these, immigration could put you on a blacklist at any time. They could ban you from the country for a certain amount of time. So it's not really something to mess around with. There's pretty much the only thing, Thailand is very relaxed on everything, but that's the one thing you really need to have in order is your visa. What is up, guys? Welcome back to Tempus TV. Today we're gonna cover probably my most frequently asked question. Well, maybe second most frequently. Number one, what's the best bar in Pattaya? Number two though, visas. I just want to preface this video by saying that Thailand is notorious for changing how long your visa is good for, entry requirements, all that stuff. So before you watch the rest of the video, go down and check the date that it was posted below, just to make sure that it's still a pretty close time to when you're planning on coming to Thailand. That way you can make sure if this video is up to date or if things might have changed before you get here. So in this video, most of the information that I'm going to be talking about is going to be related to tourist visas. Now I do have a little bit of information on other visas, but I haven't really used any of them personally, at least on this trip. So I don't really want to explain anything that might not be up to date, but everything in this video is pretty much just going to be covering tourist visas. Now, as you may know, last year, at the end of last year, November, December, Thailand went ahead and extended the visa extension program. It used to be 30 days and then you could extend for another 30 on top of that. But now your initial entry is going to be 45 days and then 30 days you can still extend on top of that. So there has been talk that this is going to change. And then there's other talk that this might extend till the end of the year. Right now, it's still kind of up in the air, but as of right now, I just got a new visa about 3 days ago, and it is still 45 days on your initial entry, and then you can extend for 30 at immigration once that first initial 45 days is up. Now, you might be asking, what is the visa exemption program? Well, in a nutshell, if you hold a passport from a certain list of countries, when you come to Thailand, you don't need to apply for a visa beforehand. You can show up, land at the airport, come across a land border, whatever you need to do, and you're exempt from attempting to apply for a visa before you get here. Now, that doesn't mean you don't need a visa to be in Thailand. It just means you don't have to file any paperwork prior to getting here in order to get your 45-day or 30-day, whatever it might be at the time, travel visa. Now, since the big P word is over, there is no way to extend this visa exemption tourist visa longer than 75 days, or maybe 60 days. By the time you're watching this, they might have bumped it back down to 30. A lot of people think that there are ways to reapply or to get extra extensions, and there might be, but there's nothing on paper according to immigration that says you're able to do this. There might be ways you can get around it if you butter the right pockets. This is Thailand, but unfortunately the longest you're going to be able to stay on that individual visa right now is 75 days, but by the time you're watching this, it might be back down to 60 days. So if you plan on staying in Thailand longer, how do you do that? Well, if you've watched enough of these videos, I'm sure you've heard about visa runs or visa resets, whatever you want to call it. So there's a way you can go out. If you leave the country, you come back in, you get a new visa. It's pretty much that simple. But there are requirements and regulations to this. There's two ways you can go in and out of the country, obviously. You can go by land across the land border, or you can fly. Thailand immigration has regulations set on both of these in an attempt to keep people from manipulating the visa exempt process. Now, if you're planning on living in Thailand, if you're planning on staying here for an extended period of time, my best piece of advice would be to go through the proper channels, get an education visa. If you can, if you're planning on coming to Thailand to work, make sure you get a work visa. And that way, these are catered to your individual needs, and then you'll be on the right visa when you're getting here. Now, this isn't to say that people don't stay in Thailand for extended periods on tourist visas. So Thailand can be very hit or miss on what's allowed versus what people actually do. So I just want to let you know, people are not allowed to live in Thailand on a tourist visa. Seems pretty straightforward, right? But there are people here who will go and do these visa runs. So when your visa's up, you just run to the border and come back. In the past year or two, Thailand has really stepped up regulations in an attempt to stop this. It's still kind of a thing now, but in my personal opinion, it does kind of seem like it's on the way out. So what are the regulations when it comes to visa resets? So on paper, according to Thailand immigration, you're allowed 2 resets per year via land border. So they do visa runs out of Bangkok and Pattaya where you can hop on a bus or you can drive or whatever. You go to Cambodia, Laos, places like that, and then you'll show up, you'll get stamped out of Thailand, they'll walk you to the other side, you'll get stamped into Cambodia, and then you'll turn around and come right back and get stamped into Thailand. Now, obviously, the people at immigration aren't stupid. They realize people are doing this just to get around the visa program essentially, but if you are doing this and you only do it 2 times a year, you're at least inside the rules, you're inside the regulations. Now, if you know anything about immigration, and this isn't just Thailand, this is everywhere in the world, immigration has the right to deny you no matter what. Even if you've never been to Thailand, you don't have any prior visas, anything like that, it doesn't matter. They can just say, no. So that's the thing. My biggest piece of advice is to just do everything you can to make sure you're at least within the regulations of what's allowed and what's not. But even then, that still doesn't guarantee anything. Now, as far as flights go, according to Thailand immigration, you are allowed 6 re-entries on a visa exemption within a 12-month period. So I'm not sure if that one's a 12-month period or a calendar year. The thing about the land crossings is it's 2 land crossings within a calendar year. So that's January 1st to December 31st. If you come in, say in the end of September, October, something like that, and your visa lasts long enough that you can run it across to the end of the year, technically you're allowed to go and do a 3rd one right at the beginning of the year. As far as flights go, you're allowed 6 a year. But if you do the math, 60 days or 45 days, that's a run every 2 months. You do that 6 times, that's 6 in a year, that's 12 months. So in theory, you're allowed to do this as much as you want throughout the year. Now, this is another thing that's not to say that you might not get questioned when you come back in. I have heard stories of people getting turned around and not getting accepted, but like I said, this at least puts you in to the regulations according to immigration. So then you have just less of a chance of that happening, albeit very unlikely. So why are you allowed to fly 6 times and you're only allowed to drive twice? So this is all in theory, there's no real reason why, but I believe that it is to kind of try to slow down the amount of people that are just running to the border out of Thailand, because it is generally much cheaper to drive there than it is to fly. So it's just their way of kind of weeding out essentially people who are trying to be cheap. So if you don't have the money to fly in and out, it's their assumption that you probably don't have enough money to live here or have the proper visa. So that's their way to try to weed out the people who are manipulating that type of visa. So how do you get around this? There's really no set way for you to circumnavigate this. Your only choice is to play by the rules. There's no real way to kind of finagle your way through, which probably wouldn't be a good idea, because if that gets found out when you're trying to come through, that's all the more reason for them to deny you. And a big way to get blacklisted from Thailand is to get caught on the wrong visa or overstaying and stuff like that. They just really don't like that. Besides that and working in the country illegally, those are the 2 things that are gonna get you blacklisted. So the best thing you can do is read up a little bit on what's allowed, what their technical regulations are, and then do everything to stay inside of that. And then you have the highest probability of not having any issues. But like we said, that doesn't really mean anything. Essentially, it's still very much up to them whether they want to let you in or not. If you are planning on coming and you're not sure about which visa you need to apply for or which will be the most functional for you, I do have a direct line of contact through a liaison service on my Patreon, where I can kind of walk you through what you're planning on doing, how long you're planning on staying, and what's probably going to be the best course of action for you. Because like we said, the last thing you want to do is get here, be on the wrong visa, get caught up at immigration, and then before you know it, you're not allowed in Thailand for, years. If you guys do have any more questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them in the next video, and I will make an update if the 45-day visa exempt entry changes at any time. If it doesn't, I'll probably just rely on this video to be up to date. I know everything's a little vague, but that's kind of how it goes. It's different for every person. So like I said, if you need some more personal information on what's going to be best for you, feel free to hop over to my Patreon and we'll get you taken care of. If you would like to see more and learn more about Thailand, feel free to go down and smash that subscribe button. I upload daily videos and I do live streams every other day. If you want to support the channel, best way to do that is drop a like on a video, share it with a friend, and I will see you in Thailand soon. Have a great day.